now we'll talk about the results of the photo contest. So one thing to keep in mind, photo contest is only a contest in the loosest sense of the term. It's a contest where everybody wins. So if you participated and sent me photos, one of the things that I do is I make a custom MAW Dec calendar out of the best submissions, and I mail it to everybody who participated. So, like I said, it's a contest where everybody wins. I assume everybody can see my screen, so I'll just go ahead and get started. And special thanks, first off, to Annie Weissman and Martin Levinci and Tom Moore for helping me judge this year's contest. So very first, these go in alphabetical order by first name. And I tried to standardize everything and put a scientific name on there. So that's if this were a drinking game, you'd have to take a shot for everything that I misidentify for the rest of the photo contest. Okay, so Albert Casillero is one of the people that I consider to be essentially a founding father of the DC Club. And so he submitted this photo of an agaricus species. Albert is also very artistic, and he is the person who did the logo that you might see for us. It's over here on the right-hand side of the page. Let me turn on my laser pointer, make that a little bit better. Albert also wrote an ongoing article for the first couple of years of Fungi Magazine, where that was called The Fungal Gourmet. He is a superb cook, as well as a very good guy. Okay, moving on. Very much looking forward to the Alan Bassett book on gastromycetes. It should be coming out sometime in 2025, and I suspect this will be on page number 1. This is the common puffball, the gem-studded puffball. Some of these puffballs crack open, like Mitch was just showing the Calvadias, but this one, it gets a little hole at the top. That's called an ostiole. And spores are dispersed through mechanical agitation, whether that be a raindrop hitting it or somebody with big clumsy feet like myself clomping through the woods, tramping on it accidentally. This is about the most popular mushroom out there these days, lion's mane, although I prefer to refer to it as in the Japanese name, just because I think it's fun to say, Yamabushitake. This is Hericium arenaceus. Arenaceus means hedgehog, by the way. It's hyper popular because it's considered medicinal, and they've done some animal studies where it helps regenerate nerve growth. There's a Pholiota. To my knowledge, it's the only Pholiota that grows around here, terrestris, on the ground. We've got a number of other Pholiotas that I believe they all grow from wood. And there's a nice photo of a Satharella. That's basically all I can tell you. As soon as I say Satharella, that's the end of the story. I'm no good at identifying these little brown spored guys. This is Romariopsis kunzii. I think this is amongst the coral fungus. This one is the whitest and stays the whitest amongst all of them. Here's our new secretary, Alan. I'm calling this Amara rubescens, but hard to tell from that angle. Could be a couple of other types of it. Yeah, definitely Amanita. But we'll go with Amara rubescens for this job. Alan likes the Caesar mushroom as well. You see that nice universal veil that would have covered that whole thing. And call it the Caesar mushroom because, according to the legend, this was Julius Caesar's favorite mushroom to consume. Alan said this was a bolete, and I don't have anything better. So we're going to go with that. That's a neat looking fungus. Put something in the chat if you got a better guess. This is the bell-shaped fuzzy foot. Zarumphilina. I'm calling it Campanella, and there are two of these bell-shaped fuzzy foots. The other one we'll see later on. Usually I have no idea which one is which. I think from the morphology out in the field, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. Guidebooks will say this one, Campanella. Campanella means bell, by the way, grows on conifer, and other one grows on deciduous. But a lot of times the logs that they're growing on look like this, and you have no idea what it originally was. Alan also gets extra points because this log is absolutely full of lichens, and that's my favorite thing. It looks like we got a little British soldier down here, a couple other ones floating around, and those look like some common powder horns popping up there. And all this green stuff are the squamules for the Cladonia lichens covering that log. There's a great article in the latest edition of Fungi magazine that talks about how the transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau just loved lichens. He referred to them as the leaves of winter. I like that. Here's the dead man's fingers, Zalaria polymorpha. And you see at the top here, these look like that's the Conidiaphore to me. When these things first pop up in the springtime, they're much lighter colored, and that's because they have asexual spores called conidia on them. And then as time goes by, those are replaced by parathecium, which are little flask-like structures that make the whole thing turn blackish. And that's the sexual spore-bearing structure. If you were to crack one of these in half, you could see it all around the circumference. You'd have a black line for the sexual spore producing parts, and the rest of it is kind of like almost a pure white. That's the gleba. I think Angeline ran this through a Photoshop. This is Geronima strombodes, and she just made it look all artsy. And that's what it really looks like. This is one of the, depending on the year, this is one of the more common mushrooms I think I find around BC. See a lot of this in wood mulch too. Here is one of that Lepidella groups of Amanitas. This is why you got to take your time whenever you're digging these things up, because a lot of times that big old turnip root is subterranean. Amanita dossipes. These are pretty small on here. This is April Thompson, our new vice president. These are little ascomycete cup fungi. I think these used to be called Bisporella citrina. Citrina is lemon, which is appropriate. I am never going to get used to these new names, especially this one. This Armillaria cespitosa. This is the ringless honey mushroom. Cespitosa just means grows like this in a cluster. There's a nice looking kitty cat saying hello to you. Ganoderma, I'm guessing applinatum. Although up my way, we also see a lot more lobatum. Lobatum is if you try to stick your thumb into the top of this, and if it sinks in, it's lobatum. Yeah, so April, she's got some of her mushroom cookbooks in that photo too. I'm going to call this Ganoderma applinatum as well. Sometimes what happens with these things, you see how dusty it is on the top? These things are prodigious spore producers, and sometimes that spores will waft up over top of them. I remember one time I saw one of these Ganoderma applinatum spore lading in Cook Forest in Clarion, Pennsylvania. It was a giant one, and light was just right in the middle of the afternoon coming down through that old growth forest canopy, and it's just amazing how many spores these things can produce, billions of them. Here is I think a Lexinum longicurvipes. You can see the curves on that. If this wasn't a photo, I'd put a drop of KOH on top of that. If it turns candy apple red, then it's for sure it's that. And extra points for throwing a happy little millipede in there. Is mushroom. I usually think of this as being more of a springtime mushroom. I'm not sure when April took the photo. Neofabulus alveolaris. I'm terrible at bolete IDs. I feel like I'm getting worse every year too. Calling this the Xanthoconium affine, but I suspect somebody has a better guess. And April was really putting me to the task. Here we have another bolete. I'm calling this Xanthoconium separans. It looks a little purplish on the stipe. Here is another April Wyman, Agrossobe edgerata. This used to be a foliota. One of the yeah, foliotas are well represented in a photo contest this year. This is a mushroom pip, pipiono. Pipiono. This is a cultivated mushroom. That's a sawdust block in the background. A number of these foliotas are in addition. This is Agrossobe now, but it used to be a foliota. A couple of other foliotas that are commonly cultivated. Chestnut foliota, which is Foliota adiposa, and the Nemenko cultivated Foliota. It's Foliota microspora, I believe. So, what a couple good Foliota edibles out there. And there we go with a little, with a troll hanging out by a snakehead morel, Morchella alata. So stay tuned. We'll be having morel forays here one of these days. Happy little newt hanging out on top of a jack-o'-lantern. Like that photo a lot. Made sure that got into the calendar. Ashley said this is an acanthomyces. I'm terrible at ID at any of this kind of stuff. Cool photo, though. I did look up acanthomyces. I think they generally attack spiders and moths. I have no idea what's underneath that guy, though. Cool photo. Ashley got another one. This used to be a Sewillis. This used to be the chestnut Sewillis, I believe. This is a guess. Annie helped me, Annie helped me come up with this guess. Pretty cool elongated spores on that. This is, to my mind, one of the best edible mushrooms, even though you don't technically eat the vegetative tissue, or at least not generally. This is the black staining polypore, Meripolis sumstenii, makes outstanding mushroom flavored broth, stock, whatever you want to call it. And another morel, so be patient. A couple more months to go. Tulip morel here, I believe. Barbara takes nice pictures. This is about the only reindeer lichen that you're going to see in Maryland, and this is the Dixie reindeer lichen. It's these reindeer lichens are. It's believed that they generally reproduce asexually. So whenever you come along and step on this, all those pieces are going to break off, and then brand new lichen. They grow slowly, so probably years later. Kind of nice, tucked in with all that star moss. Probably the prettiest coral mushroom, Clavaria zolingeri. Here is salmon egg slime mold, I believe, Hemitrichia decipiens. And that is where you want to find a chicken mushroom. Look how nice and young and fleshy that is. That would cook up wonderfully. Latiparus sulphureus. Chocolate tube slime, appropriately named. That's a great photo, Barbara. Man, that looks good. Another slime mold here. Barbara, like me and like Saranella and several others, and Mitch likes the slime molds. Daniel Berman got an action photo in this year. That's a pear-shaped puffball, and he must have dropped something on it whenever he took that photo, because you can see how it's sporulating through mechanical agitation. Here is what we're calling Hericium coralloides. These are one of those things I think we need to do some more work on sequencing these. So you have Hericium coralloides or Hericium americanum, and they say americanum has longer teeth and This one looks a little more fractal, I guess, but I don't know. Those clues all seem pretty subtle to me. If you come across any of this stuff, take a sample of it and get it over to the DNA team so we can maybe uh, add some more clarity to this.
FYI, I think one of the things is the Americanum, it's kind of like an arm holding a pom-pom. There's no teeth on the arm, whereas Coralloides, there's teeth along the arm.
Okay. Okay.
I think that might help. So
Well, still sequence it.
sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mitch. Um, so here's another one. Uh, I think Daniel said Olearis in his email, but I believe that's only in Europe. So, and parenthetically, I added alludence. Either way, pretty little jack-o'-lantern mushroom we have here. And a couple photos Daniel gave us of the true oyster mushrooms. This is the winter oyster poking out from that log, a little bit darker, likes a little bit colder weather. I love to go hunting for this in the middle of winter. You have those warm snaps like in January or February, usually with a precipitation event. That's a great time to go take a walk in the woods and find these winter oyster mushrooms. Big bonus, no bugs. No bugs. And just to round it out, he gave us another oyster mushroom. This one looks like the summer, what I call the summer oyster, because it's more inclined to see it during warm weather, pulmonarius. Um, just to close that out, up here in Pennsylvania, we have another one that's identical to this, to my mind. It's Populinus. It grows on quaking aspen. Quaking aspen is a type of tree that grows vegetatively. So you have huge groves of um, the same quaking aspen. And where you find one, Pleurotus populinus, you will find 10 pounds of them in those quaking aspen groves in the springtime. But this one is, I suspect, pulmonarius. Dave Feldman, man, I love a backlit photo. Look at that. That's a nice photo. This is a true honey mushroom, Amalaria malaya. Malaya means honey. There's another picture of it. Malaya means honey again. Um, Here's the green-gilled lepiota, Chlorophyllum mollibides. Daniel's really working that backlighting. Love that. Nice composition, too. I have no idea what this is. I'm guessing the leucocaprinus, but no idea. This looks to me like the beef bouillon bolete, Lanmoai paliderosia. If we had smell-o-vision, this would smell like beef bouillon, I suspect. Uh, Popular year for slime molds. This one, if you call this dog vomit slime on a walk with me, I am going to correct you and please call it. That's pejorative. We don't want to hurt the slime mold's feelings. Please call it scrambled egg slime. Cool photo. And this is a stinky squid. This is a stinkhorn mushroom. It is doing spore dispersal by attracting carrion insects like flies that come land on it and get their spore and get the spores, the sticky spores stuck to its feet. This one looks like this is normally a resupinate fungus. So it grows on the side or bottom of a log. A lot of times you see those teeth, they'd be pointing down. So I suspect Jennifer might have, or somebody might have rolled this slug over a bit to get a good photo of it. Just going with Mycena on this one. That's pretty challenging fungi. And I think Jennifer suggested Melagina. I'm guessing Corticola for this Mycena. And kind of a nice photo. It's too bad this wasn't macro photography or with photo stacking. You could put it all in focus where you got this nice drop of moisture on the top of the cap. And I don't know what that is, springtail or some sort of insect on the inside. Nice photo, though. There we go with another Hericium. an orange-colored hericium. I believe this is, well, it's definitely a slime mold. I'm calling it Fusarium polycephalum. That's the one that they do all the experiments with to see, solving mazes and whatnot. Um, Kevin Howe submitted Viscid Violet Court. That thing almost looks fluorescent in that photo. And popular year for lion's mane or Yamabushitake. Here's another one. Our old 4-H chair, John Elifritz, used to refer to all these guys as jaders, just another darn red Rusula, and I am carrying on that tradition. Rusula SP. Here's the jellied false coral, Sabicina schwitzinii. Trimides cinnabarina. Yeah, very common on dead logs. Cinnabar is mercury sulfide, the mineral. Used to be used as ore for mercury or ground up and used as pigment for the color vermilion. Mitch just talked about Fistulina americana, aka hepatica. Is talking about how it's got those weird dangly tubes underneath it, kind of like a pipe organ. Believe it or not, that's pretty good edible. Ichnoderma resinosum, probably at that stage. That looks young and tender. That'll get too tough, though, and then pretty soon. And I talked about the bell-shaped fuzzy foot before. The first one I claimed was on a conifer log. I'll claim this one is on a deciduous log, even though looking at that log, I have no idea. Kaufmanii. In the Bill Russell Mushrooms of Central Pennsylvania book, he claims that this mushroom is edible. I cannot understand how anybody could harvest it, though. You'd have to sit there with a pair of nail scissors, fine scissors, and and harvest it for hours. Another nice photo of the Yunnan splendid table. Bunch of different types of cultivated mushrooms. Popular year for Caesar mushroom, as always. Marilyn gave me a couple of photos of, I think we might have saw this with Mitch's too. The indigo milky, another one. And I think we saw this with Mitch. I think even Mitch had a better photo of that cobalt crust.
I think that's actually a different find that she found. The other cobalt was a new one. So
okay. Another cobalt crust. This one was definitely in Mitch's show, so we'll keep moving. More snow fungus. Okay. Trichaptum biforme. I almost wish this was taken from the top down because I'm looking at that. I think there's probably some fairy pin stubble lichens sticking in the top of that. Amanita parsivolvata, very similar to that Caesar mushroom, but it looks like it's got some of the yellow dust on the stipe, which is one of the diagnostics. I have no idea what that is. You stumped me on that one, Michelle. Berkeley's polypore, probably one of the biggest mushrooms. Phlebia tremulosa. Here's one of the scarlet cup fungi. Coccinea means that. That's for the scale insect that they used to use, harvest out of Mexico to make scarlet, crimson color. Here's a very cool ascomycete. This is the devil's urine. This is what it looks like whenever it's just starting to open up. This will turn into a cup fungi, more pronounced cup. These things are these ascomycetes that grow on wood. They do a different type of rot. We talk about brown rot and white rot sometimes. Those are unique to basidiomycetes. Ascomycetes that grow on wood do something that's called soft rot, and they use different mechanisms for breaking down the organic molecules. And yeah, they're less aggressive, but no less important because they're very good at going through things like bark, which has a lot of tannic acid in it and stops the basidiomycetes from getting a foothold. More chicken mushrooms. That all looks a little too old to enjoy, at least culinarily. And more chicken. Here is the veiled oyster. There was a effort to say that Levis and Dryaenus, which means on oak, were actually the same. Those two distinct species were the same. Here's one you can easily mess up. Mitch was talking about the witch's butter before. This looks very similar from a distance. One of my favorite edibles. This is the frost bolete. Another lactate Ganoderma. Very good dyeing mushroom. Serenella. She didn't ID this for me. I'm calling it the smoked oysterling. Nice picture.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think you hit the snow fungus with a UV light. That's good luck. Another Jacksonii, just in case. Everybody should know what a Caesar mushroom is by the end of this. And cinnabar mushroom. These all look like false turkey tails to me. We saw some chlorophyllum mollibides before. I think this is, can't see the other side. I'm guessing Dideliopsis confugosa. Man, this photo, it's a good photo. I think if we could have tightened that up a little bit, that would have been an exceptional photo. We talked about the bleeding fairy helmet before. Mitch did, I believe. Mycena haematopsis. Schizophilum commune. This is one of the mushrooms. Gills are together, fused together whenever it's dry to protect spores, and then whenever it gets wet, they open up so they can be gravity released, gravity dropped. Tiana doing some fungal art. Getting close to the end. Couple more. I'm guessing these are Mycena. Maybe Liana, old Liana. Not sure. Okay, that's my stuff. Took a trip to Ireland earlier in the year. If you go visit the gravesite of St. Patrick, you will see this. I'm including it because that big boulder is, whenever they interred St. Patrick here, a lot of people kept coming by and taking a handful of dirt and taking it home with them. So what the Irish did is they plopped this big boulder over top of where they interred St. Patrick so people would stop scooping up topsoil and walking away with it. And it's been there, obviously, for a while because you can see, I couldn't ID the lichens on the side of it, but anyhow, it was a fun experience. Did a lot of traveling this year. This is in Seville, Spain. It's called Cetis, Sevilla. Did this landscape photo of the plaza there. Seville, Spain, and Spanish, at least of Spain. Seta is wild mushroom. Ongo means mushroom. Seta means wild mushroom. And champignon means cultivated mushroom. So kind of a cool thing. Kind of a cool thing to do for outdoor plaza. Those are made out of wood, by the way. Also, another part of Ireland, this is Giant's Causeway. You see that columnar joining. That's what happens whenever basalt dries, cools like that. It's analogous to what happens in a mud puddle whenever it dries out and you see those little star-shaped pieces of mud. The black stuff covering that columnar joining of basalt is a type of lichen, Verrucaria mara. Over here is the sunburst lichen right here on the side of this rock. And that's people kissing the Blarney Stone in the background, which I just did a couple minutes before I took this photo. Here's another sunburst lichen from a trip to Maine I did last year. These sunburst lichens, it's kind of gross because I'm leaning against a rock, but these sunburst lichens proliferate along the coastline because whenever the birds come along and they leave their droppings on the rock, they're full of nitrogen, and that's what this lichen really enjoys. And did a lot of time thinking about Rachel Carson this year. Here's Park Lawn Cemetery where she is interred. This is in Rockville, just as you might imagine Rachel Carson would be. Very unassuming grave site, just kind of perfect with that milky quartz bridge in the background. Okay, these are the honorable mentions now. Penny Firth, she did a train wrecker mushroom, although we call it the train wrecker mushroom. Although there's no evidence that it ever has actually wrecked a train, it is just one of the few mushrooms that will grow on creosote impregnated railroad ties. Tatum Story, great photo here of that mold that infects boletes, Hypomyces chrysospermus. Jennifer has a really nice composition, really good looking jack-o'-lantern mushroom. And best in show, Saranella. Yeah, great backlighting on, I'm calling it the bleeding mycena. As best in show, you will see this again at Sequonoda 2025 because I make this into a jigsaw puzzle for that event. And that is everything.